Disclaimer, I am not a chemical salesman, a agronomist, or a labor contractor. I'm just trying to help people that ask questions on this channel. So I recommend you do your own research and always read chemical labels. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate all y'all watching and especially commenting and asking questions. That's why I started doing this channel originally, was to just help people to learn, and I started it because there wasn't a lot of vegetable content on YouTube. There's all kinds of grain farmers, and there's some great gardening channels, but there's not a lot of people that are raising commercial produce on YouTube. So I started this in hopes that I could help some people learn and maybe avoid some of the obstacles that I had to deal with when we first got started. I'm starting to get a lot more comments as of recently, since I've started putting out a lot more videos. So I thought I'd do a video and address a few questions that I've had. Here's one from NGA Farmer 55. I'm assuming that's North Georgia farmer. I have a question for you. It seems like I can't find a lot of information on the internet about pre-emergent herbicide for vegetables, specifically for cucurbits. Is there anything specific pre-emergent to spray that works good at killing broadleafs or grass in cucurbits? Thanks in advance. Well, grass is easy, man. You can handle grass even if your crop is already up. You just go over the top and spray with Volunteer. It's kind of kin to Post, but Post is, I feel like, more prone to burn because you have to use crop oil. Volunteer, you can just use regular surfactant, and I've never had a problem with burning a crop or speckling a crop, and it will kill grass dead as hammer. So that will take care of any grass even after the fact. But for us, our program that we use for no-till and for plastic mulch on hard squash or cantaloupes, watermelons, any cucurbits. Strategy is a chemical sold by Nutrien. It is excellent. The active ingredients in it are Command and Curbit. You have to be a little bit careful with the Command and kind of think ahead because it has a long carryover. There's a lot of things you can't plant behind it. We usually rotate soybeans behind vegetables, so it's not a problem. You do not want to plant strawberries behind where you sprayed Command, or you will be heartbroken because they will not grow. Ask me how I know. You have to be careful with that Command because you can you might not kill your neighbor's crops, but you will turn them white or make them look variegated if there's any wind blowing. It's very volatile. If the strategy is not enough for you, you can use a combination of strategy, reflex, and dual magnum. And I can't remember whether it's dual magnum or reflex. It's not on the regular label. You have to look on the 24C label for the rates. But those, if you mix all three of them, you can use reflex and dual, but it's not as effective as strategy. And if you put strategy and reflex and dual, you're going to spend a lot of money per acre, but you will have no weeds if you use that as a pre-emerge. Another chemical that's pretty expensive that works okay is Sandia. If you catch the weeds really small, you can spray Sandia over top of your cucurbits. It works fair on some things, but it's very expensive. It's where it shines is in nut sedge. It will really knock back the nut sedge if you have problems with nut sedge poking through your plastic. But that's the chemicals that we have used in the past. But my go-to, especially if my rotation will allow it, is going to be strategy because it's the most effective. I have another question about the H2A program, and I could make a 3-hour video on this. Even though I'm not the most knowledgeable about it, we have been using it this will be our 4th season. There is no other pool to get your labor from for us. Local help that would normally be willing to do farm labor are all laying bricks and building houses, and they can make more money at that. So they're not really interested in picking strawberries. So for us, H2A is really the only option, and we started using it in 2017. It's getting to be a very expensive program, but farm labor in general is in crisis, really. When our first year using H2A, the wage rate is set by the federal government. It's called the adverse effect minimum wage. The goal, I guess, is to prevent having a negative impact on the local economy by taking jobs away from locals. So they use a very inflated minimum wage, which the year we started was $10.72 an hour, and that's fairly manageable. But it's looking like under this new administration that our AEWR, as it's called, is going to be around $13.25 for 2021, and that's up about 50 cents from last year. It just seems to go up about 50 to 70 cents a year. Trump had froze the AEWR until 2022, which was going to be a great thing for vegetable and tobacco farmers and everybody that grows labor intensive crops. It was going to be a great thing, but the current administration has just done away with that, so the wage rate will continue to soar. I wouldn't trade our guys for anything. They are incredibly hard workers. I have a vested interest. It's how I pay my mortgage and feed my family. So I'm working as hard as I possibly can, and I cannot keep up with them. So they are certainly worth every penny of it, and I do not say anything about their pay as a negative towards them whatsoever. They are well worth what they make. The problem is the profit margin in produce farming. A box of eggplant or a box of squash or a box of tomatoes, by the time you spend the enormous amount of money that it takes to raise the crop and you pay our current wage rates, there's just not much meat left on the bone. That's the problem. Sometimes it's there's no meat left on the bone and it's negative. So that's the problem with the AEWR getting jacked up higher and higher every year. But for us in North Carolina, I think just about all states have an organization that they can get their workers through, or a co-op, if you will, that you can join to get your workers through. For us, it's the North Carolina Growers Association that we use. They do all the petitioning for the workers. You have to send a petition for each farmer. So we have, the fee is around $1,000 per worker. That covers their transportation from Mexico to North Carolina and from North Carolina back to Mexico. We have to provide free housing and free transportation for them while they're here, and we have to pay them the AEWR rate for the year, and we have to guarantee them an average of 30 hours a week. When we're in the height of squash harvest or in the height of strawberry harvest, they're working 60 or 70 hours a week. So it's typically not a problem to guarantee those hours for them. The one good thing about the H2A program is we're not required to pay overtime. So when they work 70 hours, they get paid for 70 hours, not 40 hours plus 30 hours of time and a half. If we had to pay overtime, we would just have to quit farming. Whatever state you're in, I'm certain that they have an organization. I know North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia. I know of all their associations they have. I'm sure you could Google on it and probably find your local organization. If not, I'm sure you can get in contact with the local produce farmer and they could point you in the right direction. For North Carolina, we have about 3 different organizations you can go through to get workers. So hopefully that answered some of your questions. If it did not, please let me know and I will try again. Garrett Anderson asked, how well does your deer fence work around your fields? I'm going to have to do something for vegetables, and field fence is too costly and they'll jump it anyways. Well, Garrett, our deer fence has always been fairly effective in the past, but if you watched our video on how our strawberries are looking a couple weeks ago, you know that the deer fence is not working so hot. I've been told that there's a new chemical, if you will. I don't know that it's really a chemical, more so a repellent, on the market for 2021 that supposedly will 100% repel feral hogs and deer for the infant stages of the plant. You spray it one time over the top and supposedly it repels all wildlife. We're about to do some trials on this stuff, and I will, when I am allowed to, I will be reporting back on this if it's effective. I'm very skeptical at this point. Brett Hoffman says, I've got a couple more questions for you. What is the make and model of your lifter? This is on a plastic mulch lifting video. Our plastic mulch lifter is a Reddick. It's made in eastern North Carolina. I'm not sure they make more than one model. They may offer one that has spring trip shanks on it. Ours is a shear pin shank, but I'm not sure about that. Did it do well on the watermelon and squash and other vining crops? Yes, it has coulters on it and that cut the vines before the shanks go through and lift the plastic. So yes, it does good on vining crops. Need to buy a lifter roller. It's 1,000 times better than the best lifters. 2 people can pick up all the plastic in one pass. I've had other people ask me about lifter rollers and mechanized plastic lifting machines. The problem with a lifter roller, and I do not have first-hand experience with this, but I've talked to a friend who had a very expensive lifter roller at one point, and he said that he's a lot larger than we are. He used to he's kind of scaled back a little bit, but he used to lay about 60 acres of plastic, and he said the problem with the lifter roller was that he and one other guy could spend 3 weeks every day lifting plastic, because you have to have one person running the tractor, one person on the lifter roller running the hydraulic levers and keeping the roller running at the same speed, and watching for any plastic tearing or anything. He said it would take about 3 weeks for him and another guy to lift all that plastic. They had to wrestle all those bales and load them, just the 2 of them. or he could lift it with his standard Reddick lifter like the one we have, and do it in the last 4 days before all of his H2A guys went back to Mexico for the season, and they could get up at 60 acres of plastic in 4 or 5 days. So I understand that there's a lot of cost involved in paying all those guys to get out there and pick up that plastic, but they are incredibly efficient at it. We get up plastic just as fast as I can drive through the field with that Reddick lifter. They're behind me, and I have to get a head start or they will be catching me. And I only have 3 guys, so it's just really efficient the way we do it. It works well, and if me and Holly were doing it, it would take us 3 or 4 times as long. We'd have to wrestle all the plastic and load it ourselves. It's just a better use of time, I think, for my time to do it when my guys are here and they get it up so fast. So hopefully I answered some of your questions. If I didn't, let me know and I will try again. But hopefully you enjoyed this, and if y'all have any suggestions on videos that I could make, please let me know. I'm planning to get my wife Holly with me and make a video here soon about how we got started and our journey from where we started to where we are now. And I also am planning on doing an equipment tour soon. So if you have any other suggestions, or if you think those are bad ideas, please let me know. Drop it in the comments. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate all the subscribers. It's amazing to me that I have the number of people that watch my videos every week. But I appreciate it, and I will see you next time.